So the Chiefs fell to the Chargers in Brazil by a score of 21-27. The game was certainly entertaining, but for Chiefs fans, it was also very stressful, eerily similar to the feeling of much of last year, and sadly featured yet another freak injury. And while it's only one game, there's a ton to process through in this one, some good, but a lot of it not so good. So let's talk about it all and more as I break down this game between the Chiefs and the Chargers. But first, how about those? Okay, first up, GG's to the Chargers. They had lost the last 7 games in a row to the Chiefs, and you know they not only wanted this win bad, but felt great in getting the job done to start out the season. I promise you this, their 2-hour bus ride to the airport and 11-hour flight home, 11-hour plus flight home was much more enjoyable than the Chiefs. They had a great game plan, threw the defense off by throwing much more than anticipated, and honestly, wanted that W more. And even though there are concerns to go over here with the Chiefs, this isn't a loss to hit the panic button over. Divisional games can get weird, and honestly, the last 8 of 9 times that these two teams have played each other have been one-score games. Chargers are a much better team now, improved a lot by the coaching staff with Jim Harbaugh at the helm. Jesse Minter is a heck of a defensive coordinator as well, and they are finally balancing out their offense and allowing Herbert to be himself without having to play hero ball. That's not his thing, but when balanced with a decent run game and play action, this man is methodical and surgical. I have him as my QB6 in the NFL for a reason, and good God did he cook the Chiefs secondary up in this one. Shamari Connor gave up 7 catches on 7 targets for 100 yards. Bolton gave up 5 for 5 for 70. Jaden Hicks gave up 4 on 6 targets, and 2 of them were for pretty difficult to watch touchdowns. It was rough out there, to say the least, okay? The loss of Justin Reed was certainly felt out there to me. I knew the safety room was going to go through growing pains, but gosh, I did not anticipate it to be this bad week 1. There were miscues, players running over each other, tripping each other, missing tackles, and allowing nearly 400 total yards by the Chargers offense. Before I get into more concerns, I will say the run defense for the Chiefs that we were all worried about because Mike Pennell wasn't on the roster looked fine out there. They held LA to just 3.6 yards per carry, and while Herbert had 7 carries himself for 32 yards, kind of doing what Mahomes did to some extent, using his legs on key plays as needed, Omarion Hampton had 15 carries for just 48 yards, which is a 3.2 average. So, congrats, I guess, if you want something positive to take away to the Chiefs' run defense. However, when Justin Herbert goes 25 of 34 for 318 yards and 3 touchdowns with 0 interceptions, you don't really need that much of a run game. I will say Trent McDuffie was a bright spot for the most part. No real surprise other than that touchdown he gave up after colliding with Drew Tranquill and falling over, which is why Quentin Johnston was wide open for one of his 2 touchdowns. So yes, the secondary struggled, and it is concerning, especially once I saw that McDuffie played 11 snaps, only 11 snaps in the slot, to Shamari Connor playing 30. I really need McDuffie to play in the slot more because I'm sorry, but Shamari Connor just can't do it. Not effectively, at least for the majority of the game. The problem is, it's hard to put McDuffie in the slot, kick him inside much when Christian Fulton only played 15 snaps in this game. It seems like they are still ramping him up after missing most of training camp and the preseason due to the offseason knee cleanup, but that man is going to need to see his snap count increase here ASAP. It's not funny, but I laughed through pain. Priority number 1 for the defense was obviously cover Ladd McConkey, but if you thought to yourself, well, I feel like every receiver made plays all night long, well, that's because you are correct. Justin Herbert targeted wide receivers more last night, 82.4%, than he ever has in a single game in his entire career, and they feasted like they were at a buffet. Quentin Johnston was almost made to look like a future Hall of Famer out there. He led the night with 5 catches for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ladd McConkey also had 6 for 74. Keenan Allen, the aging but youthful at the same time veteran, had 7 for 68. Sheesh. And then even tight end Tyler Conklin got involved, snagging 2 for 50 himself. The secondary was bad last night, yes. I will not say otherwise, but it was not helped at all by the fact that the defensive line could not get pressure on Herbert to save their lives, and honestly, I'm not sure which part of the defense is more concerning right now. The biggest concern of all, though, might be on the offensive side of the ball when you combine penalties into the equation, as they honestly fell out of control. So I've got to talk about all that up next, but first, the kids are back in school, so it might be a little quieter around the house, but sometimes we still enjoy tuning out the noise of everyday life. Well, this message is sponsored by Raycon, and their bone conduction headphones might not be how you would traditionally block out distractions, but honestly, they're pretty freaking awesome. They are perfect for being able to still enjoy your music or podcasts while doing basically anything without worrying about these falling out or being uncomfortable. See, look at this. Like a cloud on the head, not going anywhere. I've had these on for long periods of time, going on walks with my pup Casey, FaceTiming with my editors, and even going on my bike rides. Raycon's bone conduction headphones deliver off-ear audio using vibrations to send sound straight through your bones. That means your ears stay open to the world around you while you still get crystal clear music, podcasts, or calls. They are also IP68 waterproof and dustproof with a no-bud fit that doesn't slip, and they've got 13 hours of battery life. So hey, if you want premium audio that fits your lifestyle without the premium price tag, click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/ChiefsBC to get 20% off site-wide. That's buyraycon.com/ChiefsBC. Alright, so the defensive line is a legitimate concern, considering the Chargers O-line wasn't even at full strength with Rashawn Slater out for the season. Look at this. Mike Dana had 0 pressures on 27 pass rush snaps, mainly because he went up against the Iron Giant and Joe Alt on the left side. But then, Charles Omenihu only had 1 pressure on 28 pass rush attempts. That's the same amount of pressures as Ashton Gelati, by the way, 1, and he only had 4 pass rush snaps. Chris Jones had 3 on 36 attempts, but we all know he's doubled quite often. And then Karlaftis led the night with 5 pressures. Sure, Herbert got sacked a few times, George got him once, but 2 of them were by linebacker Drew Tranquill. And honestly, he was probably the bright spot on defense for sure. I thought Nick Bolton was fine against the run, struggled in coverage, nothing new there. But against Drew Tranquill's former team and the Chargers, he had a great game, and I was happy to see it. But still, it's never good when Drew Tranquill and Chamari Connor have the highest pass rush grades on the team. So while the secondary struggled for sure, no pass rush gave Herbert so much time to step back, go through his reads, roast a frickin' marshmallow on the field of Sao Paulo, Brazil, and just wait for somebody to get open. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm going to get pass rush help this week. How? No idea, but I do not care. Sign someone, make a trade, do something. You need somebody to be able to get home without sending blitz help to bring a quarterback down or pressure him. To be fair, the veteran options in free agency aren't great, so I'm not sure what they're going to actually end up doing here. In a perfect world, maybe Ashton Gelati sees his snaps increase and Omar Norman-Lott is able to return in the next week or two when that ankle is fully healed up. And I just hope he can provide a little bit of juice along the interior to help out Chris Jones. I do also want to note that this is just one game and it's a very long season. Spags himself said it takes them about the first quarter of any given year to figure out the identity of their defense, and so it's going to take a bit of time to figure out the strengths via real game reps. I just hope they figure it out before the Chiefs find themselves with a losing record after the first 4 weeks, because they have the Eagles coming up next. Then the Giants, who they should beat, but that could be a weird game with how good that D-line is, and then the Baltimore Ravens are after that. All that to say, it's not getting any easier, and the offense is going to have to try and carry a bit to help the defense out. Part of the problem is Xavier Worthy appears to, from what it looked like to me, dislocate his shoulder on the 3rd play of the game in a freak collision with Travis Kelce. He never returned to play, got x-rays, and then was ruled out. Andy Reid said after the game that he's going to undergo an MRI for additional imaging when they get back home, and then go from there. So I'm hoping it's not serious, like a big labrum tear or anything like that. No fractures, none of it, because we need this man out there ASAP. Either way, this offense might be without Xavier Worthy for a few games. I mean, we'll see what the official diagnosis is hopefully here soon. But then remember, they also have no Rashee Rice until week 7. Then the rookie, Jalen Royals, didn't play and is dealing with knee tendonitis. I hope he's back week 2, week 3 sometime, because if not, that's 3 receivers down, with Hollywood, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Tyquan Thornton as your primary 3. With that being said, that's why the Chiefs offense started so slow last night. Their first 3 drives were punt, punt, punt for a total of 28 yards of offense in those 3 drives. The Chargers, meanwhile, went 7 plays for 68 yards on their opening drive. That would have been stopped for a field goal, but an offsides on Karlaftis gave him another chance. and Herbert found Quentin Johnston for that wide open touchdown that McDuffie fell down on while in coverage. After a few drives, though, for the Chiefs, their offense started clicking a bit, featuring Hollywood Brown probably way more than anticipated, as it seemed like he did his best to step into the worthy role. It took him a bit of time to get warmed up and acclimated after missing most of camp and preseason with a foot injury. Had to drop some missed timing with Mahomes a couple of times and honestly wasn't as dynamic as Worthy, but he did a pretty good job all things considered. Juju Smith-Schuster was second in receiving yards on the night, behind Hollywood's 10 catches for 99 yards, thanks in part to a 49-yard bomb late in the game. But Juju had 5 for 55, including this wild catch via a Mahomes magic third down conversion for 12 yards. The man went horizontal and flipped it over several Chargers players' heads to make a play I'm not sure any other quarterback in the league could make. Honestly, Mahomes started to put the team on his back in the second half, basically saying, F it, I'm just going to do whatever I can to try to win this game. And before I get there and talk about that and these awful penalties, one of the most impressive series of the day for me, if you want to look at a positive here, was just before halftime. Casey got the ball back with roughly 45 seconds to go, no timeouts, and Mahomes connected with Tyquan Thornton for a beautiful 38-yarder on the money, okay? Perfect throw, great catch. Back-to-back false starts, though, on Josh Simmons and Jawaan Taylor made things more difficult, with Noah Gray getting hit out of bounds going backwards, which made the time keep moving. Somehow, though, with 13 seconds left to go in the half, the field goal unit was able to run on the field, and Butker drilled a 59-yarder to make it 6-13, Chiefs trailing by 7 at the half. That was one of the most insane sequences I've ever seen, which made the fact that Butker then proceeded a bit later to miss an extra point so baffling to me. They played from behind the rest of the night too after that, trying a 2-point conversion later to no avail. And after the Chiefs defense could do nothing at all to stop Herbert and that offense at the end of the game, it ultimately was too much for the team to overcome. The second quarter, funny enough, was 4 field goals, but the third quarter on, the Chargers started the half going 3 and out. But from there, touchdown Chiefs via a wild 11-yard touchdown run from Patrick Mahomes, touchdown Chargers, touchdown Chiefs via a well-designed play call and Travis Kelce catching a 37-yarder for the score. But then touchdown Chargers again. They could not stop this team, man. It was insane. And then the Chiefs somehow got inside the 10-yard line on their final drive via that 49-yard bomb to Hollywood Brown on 4th down, but couldn't get it done, kicked a field goal. You then made it a 6-point game, and then on the final drive, LA faced a 3rd and 13, and if the Chiefs defense stopped them then and there, they would actually get the ball back to their offense with about 2 minutes left in the game, down by 6 with a chance to try and go win it. But instead, Chris Jones lost contain on the last play trying to get to Herbert, and he easily scrambled right up the sideline for 19 yards to put it on ice. Chris Jones did say after the game he was supposed to keep containment there and put the blame on himself, but before that, immediately after this play happened, it got pretty heated between Drew Tranquill and Chris Jones. Tensions flared. Travis Kelce could also be seen yelling into the face of Jawaan Taylor after the guy got flagged 4 times. I think it was 2 holds and 2 false starts. Meanwhile, Josh Simmons did have 2 false starts of his own. I blame Simmons and those false starts on nerves. It was his first game as a rookie. Jawaan, though, he knows better, man. It is getting very tiring. The Chiefs had 10 penalties on the night, which is simply way too many against a team as good as the Chargers. They were also just 5 of 14 on third downs after starting the night 0-7. The Worthy loss was a big one as he was going to be a huge part of the game plan, and you had to pivot and kind of scramble after that. Mahomes refused to go down without a fight, though, and ended up scrambling 6 times for 57 yards, which led the Chiefs on the ground. And get this, 4 of those scrambles went for 10 or more yards, 1 for a touchdown, and then 5 of those went for first downs. The man had to do that, though, because the run game was non-existent and is also, once again, a concern for me. Kareem Hunt is your third down back and your short yardage guy, yes. And honestly, I thought he looked okay out there, even helping the team convert 2 fourth down conversions on the same drive. He doesn't have that burst, though, and Pacheco is definitely the quicker of the two, but there are times where his lack of vision is still showing up and really being a problem. Even on this nice 10-yard run here, I think Pacheco had a shot at the end zone had he bounced outside on this 2nd and 4, where Josh Simmons was waiting to block for him. Again, it was a nice 10-yard gain, so we'll take it, but he might have been able to take it to the house with Simmons out in front. The running back room outside of Mahomes had just 41 yards on 10 carries, and honestly, it wasn't even all on the running back. Some of it was on the O-line and their inability to successfully block, which was definitely unfortunate. Speaking of the O-line, Kingsley Suamataia got beat a couple of times, one of them being a very quick loss on that fourth down scramble that actually forced Mahomes right into have to heave up that prayer to Hollywood. But other than that, I thought Kingsley did okay. Sure, he's got some work to do, but I don't think it was doomsday for Kingsley. No need to hit the panic button there. And Simmons, he did give up 4 pressures on 49 pass block reps. Most of those reps were against Khalil Mack, though. And for it being his first NFL game, that is more than serviceable. I'm going to take it, and he was fine. The concern to me along the line really was Jawan Taylor in those 4 flags combined with 2 pressures. His leash needs to be much shorter after last night, because with the offense probably lacking some of that explosiveness again, like last year, with no Rashee Rice and then obviously no Worthy right now for who knows how long, they cannot afford to have net negative plays like that. You cannot have it, please. No, thank you. Not when you have to grind it out and fight for every single yard, because defenses are not afraid of the run game whatsoever. The deep ball could help with that as well, and honestly, Mahomes did take a couple deep shots to Tyquan Thornton. The first one looked like he thought Thornton would head a bit further to the corner of the end zone based on the angle of the deep safety, but it was still an overthrow. The second deep ball was very close to connecting, but it appears Simmons got caught up with his initial defender, and the stunt to the outside went completely untouched. Great play design by LA there, but Mahomes got lit up as he threw, kind of having to rush that throw, and they were still barely off, he and Thornton, and I think the future is going to be bright there with those connections. Something that threw the offense a tick off was batted down passes. The Chargers had 3 or 4 of those, with 2 of them being from Tyre Tart. One was on the 2-point attempt, which was pretty unfortunate because that would have tied the game, and props to Tart on that one. Tart is also the guy who just open hand punched Travis Kelce right in the face, which was a little surprising to me that he didn't get ejected, but they said since it wasn't a closed fist, it was okay, I guess. I don't know. It was a really weird ordeal, but it is what it is there. All in all, this game was rough and ugly at times, but I'm actually less concerned about the offense if they can limit the penalties. If they can't limit the penalties, then I am very concerned, because Mahomes is elite and will elevate this offense while Rice and Worthy, for however long, are out of the picture. But Jawan Taylor and others on the offense can't do the net negative stuff, man. It is awful. I'm more concerned probably about the defense because it looked very rough, yes, but Herbert was close to putting up 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's a great quarterback, to be clear. I've already talked highly of the guy, but it's not like the Chargers have weapon after weapon outside of McConkey on that side of the ball. In fact, the defense is about to go up against the Philadelphia Eagles next weekend, and they have way more playmakers on their offense. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and of course, Saquon Barkley. Good God. So they better get ready, because week 2 is going to be a much tougher task than the game they just played and lost. And therefore, you cannot make many mistakes at Arrowhead this weekend, if any at all, in order to win this one. But hey, make sure to let me know your greatest concerns and biggest takeaways from this one and what you think the Chiefs should do next to kind of figure things out. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?